Hey, what's up guys? HobsonPlays here, and welcome back to another video. Today I want to do a little bit of a tutorial on how to build this Pumpkin and Melon Farm right here. It's probably one of my favorite builds that I've done in my survivor world here. It's definitely come in very handy. It's a lot of fun to build, pretty simple design. It is a flying machine based Pumpkin and Melon Farm, so it kind of cuts down on resources a little bit as far as observers go. Just because typically a pumpkin and melon farm, you're going to have an observer that has a piston connected to it, and it kind of just observes that a melon or pumpkin has grown, and then it, breaks that pumpkin or whatever, and then you have to collect it all up. As far as rates go, this one isn't quite as efficient as that, just because, like I said, that one is going to break as soon as a pumpkin is grown, whereas this, as you can see, you kind of have to let it build up a little bit. But this one does kind of save a little bit on resources, just because for every pumpkin and melon in the other farm, you'll have to have, an observer and a piston per each crop. Whereas with this one here, you just have to set up a flying machine for however much distance you want. And yeah, it's only a few sticky blocks, a bunch of pistons, sticky pistons, and a few observers. It does, however, require a little bit of rails just for the item collection. But at this point, if you're building flying machines, you probably have enough iron or something like that to build up all of the rest of the collection. Now in this tutorial, I'm not going to go over the exact mechanics of this flying machine. It is a flying machine of my own design, so you'll have to definitely watch my tutorial on how to build this one. This one's got a few modifications to it, but I will explain that kind of in the tutorial here. But let's take a look at how this works here. I got a button rigged up here that's going to send off these flying machines. Now, typically, it takes anywhere from 15 to 25 minutes for a pumpkin to grow. So if you leave this for a day and harvest it kind of in the mornings when you get up or whatever, chances are this will be a mostly full farm. So you're going to get various rates as far as actual drops go, but it is very safe to use. As you can see, these flying machines, they are going quite a distance away and they're not stopping. You'll notice I got a cow here. Conveniently, the cows and other animals that come onto this just get pushed by the flying machines, so not a worry there. Nothing damages those flying machines. They are very easy to reset if they ever do cause you issues. But yeah, so let's let these come back here. Eventually, in this particular world, this is my survival world here, I'm going to build a bit of a structure here to keep the animals out, but you can see here the cow gets just pushed away. As soon as the flying machines come back, it's going to send off these minecarts. That one, it looks like finally sent, so let's just get rid of this guy here. And as you can see, all these minecarts are now coming back. This one's still making its way downtown. And now that the minecarts are back, they're going to be dropping their inventory down into these chests. As with a lot of my tutorials, I'm not going to build up a storage system for you. That'll be something you'll have to come up with on your own. But as you can see, by the time the flying machine has stopped going to harvest these crops, they're already starting to grow again. So if you wanted, you could have this on a bit of a cycle so that it continuously goes. But I wouldn't recommend that. After a while, these are definitely going to lag out your world a little bit. That's a lot of updates for, especially in my case, I'm playing on Xbox. It's not going to be very lag friendly. But yeah, let's go jump into a creative world now, and I'll show you how to build this all up. Hey, so we're over here now in a creative world. This is kind of one of the older renditions of the farm. I've had a few updates on it since I actually designed this, but generally the same here. We're going to be building a farm very similar to this size. We're going to build it the same length, but I'm only going to build these two sections right here. We're not going to worry about building more lanes. If you want, you can add more lanes. It really depends on how much redstone stuff you have here for these flying machines. And I guess obviously seeds and space permitted in your world. So let's go head over here now. We're going to build this farm up here. Like I said, it's going to be the same length. If you take a look at these little sections right here, you can see that there's sea lanterns every 6 blocks. So if you can imagine here, this space right here and here, it's more or less the same pattern repeated every 6 blocks or whatever. So if you can imagine these little squares right here being one chunk, This is 8 sections long and obviously 2 wide. So we're going to be more or less building that same thing. So let's get started building up one of these sections. First, we're going to start with whatever block you choose here. You have a few different options with your solid block, with your light source block, and as well as a stair. You do need a stair just to kind of contain your water a little bit. To me, it's just the handiest way to contain water, but if you come up with a better solution, go for it. In this case, we're going to be using smooth stone sea lanterns and stone stairs, but like I said, you can change this to whatever you feel. All right, so go ahead now, and we're going to place down 7 of our solid blocks just in a row like so. And you can go ahead and put a sea lantern on either end and actually break out this middle block right here and place a stair there. We'll go ahead and fill in water afterwards, but now go ahead and fill this all in with dirt. And we're going to go 6 blocks wide. So 3, 4, 5, 6. And going to put more smooth stone just on the end of this. Go ahead again, put our sea lanterns just up top like so, replacing this middle block with a stair. Now we're going to place 6 more rows of dirt. And filling in the end with more smooth stone, again, putting our sea lanterns and a stair actually facing in towards the dirt. Go ahead and fill that with water now. That way when we hoe up some dirt, it's going to stay fertile. All right, so now take your hoe and go ahead and till up the 2nd and 5th row of each of these kind of dirt sections here. We'll go ahead and do the same thing on the other section. And figure out which seeds you're going to plant. I'm going for both pumpkins and melons. So let's say this left section is going to be melons. And the right section is going to be pumpkins. So that's actually more or less the entire layout of the actual farmland itself. So now, like I said, we're going to go 8 of these sections long. So go ahead and start building up all of this area. One last thing, if you noticed in my original explanation, I did not have blocks on top here. I suggest you go ahead and put some blocks there. It does kind of help the pumpkins and melons when they're harvested from not falling over to this line right here, because it saves you some time of having too many rails. You only have to have rails in these 6 sections as opposed to having rails in every single one of these lines. For now, I'm not going to go ahead and put those in there because it doesn't really matter in my test. But as for you guys, I would definitely recommend that you go ahead and place blocks on top of these rows. All right, now is the fun part. We're going to go ahead and start building up one of the flying machines. Now, again, I highly recommend you check out the tutorial on how the flying machine actually works. I'm not going to explain any of the mechanics, but I will show you quickly how these sections work right here. So these blocks, these pistons right here are actually what breaks the blocks. So these observers right here are going to send a pulse to send a signal to these pistons right here. And as you can see, they extend and they break down every single time that this shifts over, which is every single block. Those pistons push down and they actually break these melons and pumpkins. So let's go ahead and start building up the flying machine now. Let's start on this side right here. We're going to pretend that there is a pumpkin right here. So this is the actual block that we need the piston to extend into. So if we put a block right here and have our piston facing downwards, that's a good place to start. Then we can put a slime block beside it and another piston facing straight down. I'm going to be honest, this is kind of a pain in the ass to build in survival just because you have to get the right angles for making your pistons face the right direction. Just be patient and take your time. Now we need to put a observer facing in towards this sticky piston right here. Again, kind of a pain trying to get the pistons and observers facing the right direction, but this is going to work right here. So you see here, whenever this observer updates, it sends a pulse to those sticky pistons, or to those regular pistons, sorry. Now go ahead and take your slime blocks, and we're going to build kind of a weird Tetris shape here, where it's 2 blocks and then 3 blocks. And that's actually all of the slime for this half of the machine. So now let's go ahead and place some temporary blocks right here. And we're going to make pretty much a mirrored version of this sticky block and piston contraption. So again, we're going to go 3 blocks up and down, out 1 more, and down 1. Go ahead and get rid of all these blocks. You don't need any of them anymore. And we're going to go ahead and put our regular pistons right here again facing downwards, and going to get an observer facing in towards that slime block right there. Again, kind of a pain to get it facing the right direction, but that's more or less your sweeper section, I guess, of the flying machine built up and ready to go. So now, very important, we don't want this flying machine to accidentally set itself off. So go ahead and put a obsidian at either side of the machine. That way you kind of can guarantee yourself that you don't accidentally send it off and it will never come back. Anyways, now go ahead and take a regular piston and we're going to face it in towards this slime block. Then take a sticky piston and face it in towards this slime block. Now, again, this is going to be kind of a pain for you to get set up, but I find it easiest now to go ahead and break this slime block. We need a regular piston below the sticky piston facing the same direction. So again, in towards this slime block that we just dismembered. And we're going to go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. But on this side, we need a sticky piston. Now we got to get our observers facing in towards this block right here. Actually, that worked out really well. I'm kind of surprised. And same thing on the other side, an observer facing in towards this sticky block right here. It's going to power these bottom half of the flying machine. So that's actually more or less the flying machine built up. Now we just got to get some more. Now we just got to get some more of the actual timing set up for sending the flying machine away. So for here, I find it easiest to place a temporary block right here and a sticky piston facing down towards this observer. When it gets triggered, it's going to pull this observer up and set up the flying machine. We actually need a second one over here. So again, place a sticky piston facing down towards that observer, and you can go ahead and get rid of that block. Now, go ahead and take some solid blocks, and we're going to make a kind of oblong U shape. So now we actually need some redstone. Go ahead and put a repeater in towards both of these sticky pistons, setting this one to a maximum delay. It just really helps the reliability of the machine. Go ahead and connect these up with redstone. And now that's actually a complete flying machine. It is ready to go. Now we just have to kind of double it and put the same machine just in this row over here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll see you guys after I finish it. All right, now that you got the second flying machine set up, we can actually connect the redstone up from these machines here. For now, I'm just going to put a button right there, and it will trigger both of the flying machines. If you want to have some kind of different timer set up for setting this off maybe every day, or maybe you want a button some like in a more remote location, go ahead and do that. But for this tutorial, I'm not going to do any fancy redstone for that. So now actually we have to go to the other end, and we have to build up the return station. So this gets a little bit tricky. You might have to make some changes if you turn out to put it in the wrong spot. If you line yourself up, starting counting on the farthest outside, 1, 2, 3, line yourself up right here. Go out 3 blocks, 1, 2, 3, and then up 3 more blocks, 1, 2, 3. And go ahead and put an observer right here. This is the best spot to start building up your return station. This way it just it'll all line up, and you'll have it work out perfectly. So the machine actually comes off the farm and then works itself back on, just in case this pumpkin here grows again. You'll actually get it harvested both times. So anyways, like I said, go out 3 blocks and then up 3 blocks and add a observer right there. You can actually go ahead and get rid of all those blocks, but for now we just need a block right here, as well as a block corner adjacent from that, and then 1 more block corner adjacent from that one. So you're going to have a kind of C shape right here. Go ahead and put an a redstone repeater there on full delay. All of these delays here just maximize safety and consistency of the machine. Put a redstone right there, as well as a redstone just up top there. Go ahead and first things first, put a obsidian right here. This is going to stop the machine from breaking all of your redstone and stuff like this. After you put that obsidian there, go ahead and make that same oblong U shape that we made on the other side. And go ahead and put a repeater right here on full delay and a regular repeater there. And go ahead and connect these up with redstone. Now, kind of a pain again to put your blocks there, but you do need to put a regular piston facing downwards, just like so, on both of these spots where those observers or those repeaters are going to be sending signals. And actually that is a completed return station. Go ahead and take out all of your temporary blocks, and that is, like I said, that is the finished return station. So go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. So if we start right here, we're going to line up with this third block right here. Go out 3 blocks, 1, 2, 3, and up 3 more blocks, 1, 2, 3, putting a observer right there. Go ahead and place your C shape of blocks with a repeater here on full delay. Redstone, redstone, obsidian, oblong U shape like so. Repeater on full delay, repeater with no delay, connected up with redstone, and then your pistons facing downward. So now that we have both return stations set up, let's go ahead and give this a test. It's a good time to test it right now. We don't have any pumpkins or melons grown up, therefore we don't have to worry about the collection of them. Don't forget to get rid of your safety obsidian blocks, and we're going to go ahead and press the button and make sure this works. All right, the machine is flying, so that's a first check. Make sure the machine actually goes forward. Secondly, make sure the pistons are extending downwards. It looks to be that they are all working properly. So you can imagine that there'd be a pumpkin or melon there. The piston goes down, extends down, and breaks that block. And it can be harvested afterwards, which we're going to do in a second here with our minecarts. And they should come down to the return station here. These observers are going to get pushed down. Very nice. And yeah, it flies itself back, and the pistons are still extending downwards, so it looks like we built everything up properly. So now it's kind of the tedious part of actually building up the collection system. I never like building up these parts. I wish items magically teleported to wherever they needed to be, but alas, that is not the case. We're going to be building a pretty simple minecart system. It's not anything fancy, but go ahead and dig out your ground here, because we need to be able to access underneath the farm itself so that we can lay down all our rails. So I'm going to take a few minutes to dig this out here. Maybe if you watch this tutorial all the way through, you'll be smart and have built your farm up a level or up a couple levels, so you don't have to do all this digging. But alas, I have to do a bunch of digging, so I'll see you in a second. Boy, do I love digging. Anyways, now they got a nice hole dug out. I went ahead and marked everywhere there is a stair or water source block. Now, if we start on our second water source block and put out 3 redstone blocks like so, and we're going to do the same thing on every second space, every second water source block. This way you can kind of maximize your efficiency with your redstone, as well as making sure that the heavy minecarts, after they start collecting up pumpkins and melons, will actually be able to make it back to your platform. So go ahead and put a powered rail on all of these furthest redstone blocks. And go ahead and take probably a whole bunch of the dirt that you've gathered up now and go ahead and fill in these spaces again, just in between the redstone blocks. Make sure that you actually go out one beyond the end of your farm. That way you ensure that you pick up these drops that go right here. Chances are, if you have just a rails to the very, very end of your farm, you're not actually going to pick up these blocks. But anyways, now that you have these filled in here, Just go back this way like so. We can start actually placing our rails down. So go ahead and place rails connecting up all of your, oh my God. Go ahead and place rails connecting up your redstone powered rails. And once you get to the end, go ahead and place down a whole bunch more grass blocks. And we're going to do the same thing kind of heading back. Just make sure that you place down a powered rail on your redstone blocks. And at this end here, just make sure that your rails actually loop themselves back this way. Hopefully it connects this way. Perfect. And go ahead and fill in all of these blocks again with your dirt blocks. I'm just using grass because that's just what was in my inventory, but you're probably going to have just regular dirt. Now, actually at the very end, go ahead and place a block up like so and replace this with a redstone block. This is actually going to be the end. So once your rails, once your minecarts come back to this side here, once they come to this end here, they're going to be just sent back through your rail system again. So again, putting redstone or powered rails on top of the redstone blocks. Oh my God. And filling all the empty space in with rails. This is certainly going to be the most tedious and annoying part of the build, but it is definitely important for collecting your drops. And now that we're here, let's go ahead and build up the actual collection system for your drops. Go ahead and put a chest right here, approximately 3 blocks away from the end of your farm. Put a hopper, which I forgot to grab. A hopper directly on top of it. Put a powered rail on top of the hopper. And you can go ahead and put some more dirt blocks down like so, and just connect up your rails with just regular rails right here. Put a block right behind the powered rail, and you can go ahead and put a hopper minecart just on top like so. Now we're going to do more or less the same thing on this section right here. You can see that I kind of did it in groups of 3. So you're going to do the same thing now for this group of 3 right here, as well as the remaining parts of your farm. So I'll see you guys in a couple minutes once you've built up all of your rails. All right, hopefully that wasn't too tedious or claustrophobic being down in this dingy hole for too long. Probably a good idea to place a button down on this block here and go ahead and test one of your rails just to make sure that it goes all the way to the end and comes back. I've done a few tests here already, so it definitely does work. So now we just got to get a way for it to automatically go. Now the best way for that is to have an observer that's going to detect when this piston comes back. So if we go ahead and get an observer first of all and place a block right here, just a temporary block, and go ahead and put a observer facing into it, so the actual power comes from this to this side here. Go ahead and place a few solid blocks down just like so. We need a repeater coming out of this block right here, and again, as always, make sure that it has a full delay. Go ahead and get yourself some redstone, and it should look something like so. So now what happens is when this flying machine comes back, the last pulse that it extends in towards the actual station here, this piston is going to be actually activated, and it's going to send a signal to this observer here, which is going to send obviously a signal out to both of these minecarts. So basically as soon as the machine comes back, it sends a signal out to these pistons right here saying, hey, I'm back, and you guys can go collect up all of the blocks. The nice thing is here is you only need 1 observer per these 2 minecarts. So for each little kind of row here, you have a totally contained system. If you want, you could have it so that this redstone signal extends out to these ones, but it's probably just as easy to go ahead and do the same thing on this side here. So again, put a temporary block right in from the bottom of that piston. observer facing into it so that it takes a signal out of there. Bunch of solid blocks just like so. An observer, or sorry, repeater coming out from there, full delay, and connect these all up with a redstone just like so. So this is actually now a completed farm. I'm just going to speed up time a little bit here to get some more crops grown up. Perhaps by the time you get this farm all built up, or maybe you just don't quite have enough resources for all of the actual flying machine parts, hopefully by then your farm will be more or less ready to be harvested. So now here we have a full set of crops grown up, and we're going to go ahead and press our button and send off the flying machine. And again, because we've tested everything, we know that this definitely works. And like I said in the beginning, you're probably going to want to go ahead and place down blocks just like here, so that it pushes these melons and pumpkins back into the middle rows, because we did not put rails down on that side. But for the purpose of here, I'm lazy, I didn't go ahead and do that. As you can see here, as the machine goes, you're actually still likely to get more growth from your pumpkins and melons. That's kind of the benefit of having two farmable spaces for the melons and pumpkins to grow onto. It just increases the chance that they're going to grow again. So you sometimes will get kind of a double harvest. And as the machine comes back here, it's going to send a signal out to your minecarts. Very nice. They're going to go and collect all your drops for you. As you can see, they're going to work their way down and slowly make their way back. You'll notice they're going to be a little bit off time, just the way minecarts work with weight as they pick up additional melons and pumpkins, especially the melon side. They're going to be picking up way more actual blocks. So the added weight there kind of will slow them down, but no worries. They should make their way back to your station. We have quite a few redstone blocks for pushing these machines, pushing these minecarts, so your chances of failure are pretty low. And as they come back, they're going to be unloaded through your hoppers. You see this guy kind of barely made it. If you have issues with minecarts not making it back, just add some rails. Maybe here, if you want, you can actually make this more powered rails. And actually, this should extend quite a few blocks. So you don't need to use too many redstone blocks to power quite a few rails. But use at your own discretion. That was a full harvest there. So, you know, there's quite actually a lot of weight here. You can see there's quite a few stacks going into your chests. So the pumpkins are done being put into your chest here. So you can see there was 54 right there and 44 right there. So we got 98 pumpkins in a single harvest. That number will fluctuate a little bit just based on chance. Maybe your pumpkins grow on the way back, more likely. It really depends on how exactly lucky you are. Obviously, if you're not in the ticking area of this, wherever your farm is going to be, they're not going to grow. So yeah, like I said, these rates are going to be a little bit different as you kind of do or do not get lucky. And same here, there's like basically a stack in the chest there, or in the minecart still there. So minimum 4 stacks in that side there. And how about this side? How many we got going on here? And here we almost got 4 stacks as well. So almost 8 stacks of melons in a single harvest. So that's pretty good rates. That's pretty good chunk of melons. Obviously, you have to craft those up into full melons to be able to trade with them. But depending on your use case, maybe you want to make this all pumpkins or all melons. The flexibility is definitely there. Well, guys, that is the end of the tutorial. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, make sure to leave a message in the comment section below, and I'll answer them to the best of my abilities. If you do like the channel, if you do like these tutorials, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more stuff. I have more plans for this channel to do lots more tutorials and some Let's Plays. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.